unto my feet and a light unto my path.
As we conclude this 2-week series on Soli Deo Gloria, on the 5 solas, we want to review again this last one, to the glory of God alone. Paul says in 1 Corinthians 10:31, whether you eat or drink, or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. There's nothing secular for the Christian. What do we mean by the words sacred and secular? Well, generally we mean that something that is sacred is about God, and something that is secular has nothing to do with God. But do you see what Paul said? Whether you eat or drink, or whatever you do all to the glory of God. And since all is to be for the glory of God, then there can be nothing secular that doesn't matter to God. You see, the believer is to understand that for him or her, there is nothing secular. There is nothing that doesn't matter to God. From the smallest word or thought to the largest endeavor, it is all to be done to the glory of God. For the Christian, everything is sacred because everything is about God. And Jesus said that even the smallest thing that we would do, giving someone a cup of cold water, will be rewarded if it's done to His glory. Therefore, the smallest things we do, the little chores around the house, the effort we put forth at work or school, the things that it seems like, well, it's just stuff you do every day. But it is to be done with God in view, because everything will be rewarded that is done for Him. And this is a truth that we must teach our children and grandchildren, as well as ourselves, to help them to see that the smallest effort done for God's glory will be rewarded. Jesus made that very clear. He said, unless you become like a little child in your faith, you will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven. A simple-hearted faith, seeking to do all for the glory of God, is what brings Him pleasure. Whether you eat or drink or whatever you do all to the glory of God. And that includes praying. How do I pray to the glory of God? Well, Jesus gave us that in His model prayer. Say it with me. The first part. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed or holy be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. There it is. You see how Jesus teaches us to pray? Our Father, remembering your brothers and sisters are all part of His family. Our Father, who art in heaven. When we pray, recognizing that God is our Father through the finished work of Christ on the cross, and that He's in heaven, He is in control. I pray to the glory of God when I pray recognizing His sovereignty. Our Father in heaven. We're praying to the God who is in absolute control. That is God-glorifying prayer. And then Jesus teaches us to pray, your name is holy. When we acknowledge God's holiness in our prayers, that keeps us from asking for things that would be displeasing or unholy. So, our prayers glorify God when we acknowledge His salvation, our Father, His sovereignty in heaven, His holiness, hallowed be your name. And then His kingdom. Thy kingdom come. My prayers do not bring God glory when they're all about my kingdom. When my prayers have me at the center, they are not glorifying God. When my prayers